17th of June. Let's go ahead and get started for the Pulver report. Let me log into the channel, see what's happening, say hi if you're out there. Let's go with the risk disclaimer. We understand there's risk in trading. Please and always use trade capital only. Do not trade with money you cannot afford to lose. Whether trading stocks, options, futures, forex, cryptos, you know the deal. Let's get into a little social slide. If you're following me out there on social media, please make sure you're actually following me. I will not be reaching out to you personally. I will never direct message you. I will never solicit. So if you don't see that it's really me or real Chris Pulver, no underscores, no misspellings, no numbers, no anything, those are all scammers. Those are all bots. So please make sure if you're following me, follow me. And you can message me. I'll reply, but you know the deal. All right. Hey, what's happening? Happy Friday. Welcome back. Pretty wild week, to say the least. It's been a wild week. It's been a good week. Been an okay week. I'm going to refresh the currency strength chart. We see Japanese yen weak overnight with the BOJ report. They're kind of doing the same thing they've been doing, which is they want a weaker currency pair. They want to keep inflation under control, blah, blah, blah. The challenge now is if they can really continue to weaken their currency. We're seeing the Japanese yen insanely weak across the board. And yesterday, the Swiss National Bank came out swinging with a surprise reduction. I think that's what it's technically called. Usually, it's a rate hike, and all they did was reduce from negative 0.75 to 0.25. Still negative. But that was moving back towards zero. That's kind of the direction that most central banks are going right now. And everyone except the Bank of Japan and the ECB are starting to move interest rates. Now, the ECB is supposed to be doing that in July and September, and by the end of the year, it is forecasted that the ECB will be sitting around 1.4 to 1.5%. That's an aggressive rate hike cycle for the next 6 months. The Swiss National Bank went from negative 0.75 to negative 0.25, and the Swiss, as you can see, very strong yesterday and sustained that, and today they are still leading the charge. So across the board, technically, I mean, we're still looking at a lot of weakness in the Swiss franc. I wouldn't be surprised if, I'm not saying it's now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there could be some level of intervention coming sooner rather than later. I think a big instrument to use would be the Euro Swiss if we end up hitting 1.00 again, or going just slightly below 1.00 if there's some pretty heavy manipulation in that technical zone. And then the JPY, just kind of wait and see. Has a good profit potential this week with risk-off trading. The JPY was actually fairly strong yesterday. It just looks like it was dwarfed because the Swiss was so much stronger, but because the Swiss and the yen were both strong yesterday, there's some good opportunities on the Aussie yen to the downside for some profit protection, CAD yen to the downside for some profit protection. Dollar yen made its way back down as well. Still looking for dollar yen weakness, and we'll see how that plays out with the dollar index. But anyway, that was yesterday. This is today. Futures market this morning is pointing to the upside a little bit, not by much. But we have 0.35 up on Dow Jones futures. We have 0.53 in S&P futures, NASDAQ as well. But the markets were not taking the shenanigans from the Fed this week. We had FOMC on Wednesday. We had lots of volatility. Here's the daily time frame. So the SPY versus E-mini futures. So if you see this little green candle, that is from Wednesday. That's after the Fed rate decision and press conference where the market thought, oh, a nice little end of day rally. And then yesterday we got smashed back down to fresh lows. So off the highs, we have officially closed in bear market territory on the S&P 500. We have a low pointer on 24.26%. So we are truly in bear market territory on the S&P. We're truly in bear market territory on the NASDAQ as well. This one is down, I believe, over 30%. So NASDAQ is down 33%, officially in bear market territory. The Dow Jones, fresh lows yesterday. Let me see if this one's creeping up to 20%. Highs to lows, 19.3%. Wow. So nearly all three major indices, if you look at the Russell, IWM, I think is in the same territory as, man, it's just getting beat up bad. In the same territory as the NASDAQ. IWM is down 33%. So NASDAQ and Russell are both down 30%. The Dow Jones is creeping up to 20%. The S&P has crossed into it. So what does that mean? It means there's more pain ahead, most likely. I don't think we settled in. Yesterday was one of those. It was a very busy day yesterday for us in Equities on Demand. And we made some tough decisions, but I think we made the right decisions. We are going to take some losses this week on credit spreads versus taking assignment. I do have some assignments that are coming. I've got a ton of notes to review, and you can take a look. I'm not going to have a live session at 10 o'clock, but we've got everything laid out what we need. So expirations, what are we doing here between adding new cover calls next week and repairing? And then what we ended up losing on some credit spreads, we issued new trades to get back in. Also in Forex, this is my new watch list here of trades that I'm still liking and watching and monitoring. I did take some profit this week. Let me take a look and refresh this link. So overall, pretty pleased with the results in Forex. Ended up grabbing nearly 1,600 pips this week in profit, so pretty happy with that. Again, high volatility, and a lot of it came Wednesday afternoon, Thursday to Friday. So you just protected profits when I had it. We had some nice pop-ups to pockets. Pound US dollar paid out yesterday nicely. Had a non-FIFO trade on the euro dollar, closed out New Zealand CAD, closed out New Zealand Swiss. So some good profits this week in Forex, which makes me feel better at the very least, considering the stock market was performing pretty poorly. So let's see who's out there today. Say hello. All right. Gail, good morning. Herbert, good morning. David, what's happening? Denise, good morning. Jason, nice to see you. Tom's here. William in the house. Catherine here got assigned. Yep, I did too. I was going to take a look at that as well. Alcoa got assigned, and we're sitting at 49.68. So if we were assigned, we should still have a long put we can manage today. And I will update that for Equities on Demand students in Telegram. And I don't necessarily want to take the assignment, but I also think that this is a stock that we could probably hang on to it for a week or so. There's enough premium in this one that we should be able to repair it pretty easily. So let me go in and jump into Alcoa right now and check it out. So it was assigned, but if my long put is still available, that should be worth about $10.32. And if that is the case, I'll just go ahead and do that trade right now. Andrew, good morning. Walt, good morning. Michael, what's happening? Howdy. Let me get logged in here. There we go. All right. All right. Getting logged in. So Alcoa, another one that I've got to manage today is GGB. The long put is still open from $6, so I will probably end up closing out that $1.25 long put, taking the assignment. The broker already assigned it to me, so now it's just a matter of closing out that long put with a decent amount of profit to lower the cost, and I'll calculate that break even. And then Alcoa, I don't think I was assigned on another broker. It was just on my Schwab account, but I will confirm that. Hey, Donna, how are you? Good morning. All right, so I'm going to get into those positions and check. All right, so Alcoa was assigned the 65 by 60. There's my $60 long put, which I'm going to check the value of right now. It should be worth $10 and change. I'm going to try to get everything I can out of it. So it's worth 10.25. The actual value of it right now, if I go into, so two stocks, it's pre-market's 49.21. Let me see what I can get for this. If it's 49.21 minus 60, 60 minus 49.21, 1079. Let's see if we can get right at it. With the open 1079, let's try to get it on that long put. So 10, I'll go limit order. And I'm going to try to get filled 1079. I'll just try to open it up right where the gap is for pre-market, and that's in about 20 minutes. If I get filled at 1079, decimals, okay, fine. So I'll do 1080. All right, we'll see if that will fill at 1080. And then the same thing on GGB. This one is looking for, if there's a pre-market on this one, it should be over $1 though. 475. I'll try to get $1.25. And this one is just a long put that I have to manage. Let me take a look here. GGB. There it is. There's the put. Close this out. I'm going to look for a limit order of $1.25 and watch those and see if those fill. So I'll make a note, 1080 on Alcoa and 125 on GGB. I'm going to make a note here. So Alcoa 10.80 long put pending, and GGB $1.25 long put pending. Broker assigns. Broker assigns. Now, Alcoa, what I'll probably end up doing, since I was assigned at 65, let's calculate that break even real quick. Again, this might be new to some of you if you're not an options trader, but the broker assigned me at $65 a share. I collected $2.65 on the credit spread, and I'm trying to collect another $10.80 on the long put. So that actually brings my cost down of ownership to $51.55. So even though the stock price was assigned at $65, I would technically own the shares at $51.55, and the current stock price is opening roughly around $49 and change, right? So if I own it at $51, I could end up selling a $52 call next week and still walk away with maybe 70, 80 cents net and not have to hold the stock too much longer. I would like to, if I was confident we're facing a low on Alcoa, then I would try to hang on to it for a $55 to $60 move and try to collect, $8 or $9 a share. But in case we are going to go down, I need to keep those covered calls a little bit tighter to price because I want to be able to repair it over the coming weeks if I need to. So I've told Trey this in the Equities On Demand trading room. I do want to have these shares in my portfolio. We've been in and out of Alcoa a lot for the last year, but I don't necessarily want to tie up all of my margin. So the broker made it a little bit tougher on me today by assigning a couple shares without my consent. But again, it's totally legal. I just have to deal with it. That's what happens sometimes. So we'll figure it out. All right. Yeah, thanks, Donna. If yeah, I'll hit that up at the end. But yeah, anytime you're watching, if you hit that thumbs up button for me, that helps a ton to support the channel. And we will open in about 15 minutes. Any charts, any requests? A lot of stuff going on in the portfolio. I'll be watching currency strength for the day, and it is Friday. I think the market's been pretty wild and crazy. Anything out of the ordinary? I mean, we're seeing Swiss franc strength. The Euro Swiss is back down to what level? We're down to 101.09 on the Euro Swiss. And this is something I've talked about technically with traders. I think that this potential, okay, right in here, potential double bottom. Let me open up, there's a chart that'll be a little bit easier to see. So I'll just go to a chart that has not a lot of analysis. And one thing I'm very interested in, and it's not ready yet, okay? But this massive move from Thursday's rate decision on the Swiss, at some point price is going to come back and fill that area around 103.40 to 103.50. Now I'm hoping that it fills not just that area but also goes above and beyond that. If we look at the weekly time frame, we clearly have some support at 105, which has become resistance. Okay. Now, in addition to that, I'm wondering if this area that we just had this low at parity at 1.00 and this resistance here at 105, if we're coming back down to retest this low. If we come down to retest this low, watch this level, watch this level. If we go right back up to 105, okay. Now, we didn't talk about this in Equities on Demand or in the Flex Trading Room. I was looking at a potential double bottom where this is the low. We form another low at 1.00. We bounce all the way back up here towards 105. There is a possibility that we don't go back up to 110, right? We could go from 1.00 back to 105, back down to 1.00, back to 105, and we could find ourselves in a Euro Swiss range for a much longer period of time. I hope that's not the case because I would like to see when we've come back down to these major levels before, there have been very firm and fierce reactions, as you can see right here. Very sharp reaction in 2011, very sharp reaction in 2015. We have not had a flash crash, but we did go down to parity. We're testing these historical lows. The Swiss franc still is crazy strong as a basket. Okay. And again, how does this change? risk appetite in the global economy, which we're not seeing. Inflation is high in the UK, inflation is high in the Eurozone, inflation is high in the US. Risk off is going to be the dominant theme until data inflation suggests otherwise. So the Swiss is going to remain stubbornly strong. The Japanese yen is being, you know, intentionally weakened right now by the Bank of Japan. The dollar will probably get some flows as well. We really need to turn the corner on inflation. And the annoying part about that is it might be not until July. So we might have some flows for the month of June be pretty ugly and pretty risk off. And I read this morning that there are some outflows, not inflows, outflows in major indices and ETFs. So if the U.S. markets are going to continue to fall, which looks like they certainly can, we have this pre-COVID high. If you're looking at just a really easy swing from the low to high, line that up with some really simple Fibonacci behavior. So there's your big swing. We've closed below the 382. A lot of times when we're closing below the 382, it is the path of least resistance towards the 50%. Okay. That is an incredible amount of wealth wiped away by having a 50% correction at historical highs. It's almost like doesn't matter what you did for the last 10 years. Doesn't matter what you did for the last 15 years. If you have been a heavy index trader, 50% of that value is gone. It's pretty nuts, and it's been kind of the house of cards with everything crumbling, and that's what's made it difficult is when everything is down, it's challenging. And this is one of those weeks. Oil, gas, everything sector-wise has been down, and it has been a rough week. In fact, if I go to the sectors really quickly, Juwan saying Swiss is stronger, but Swiss, no. I said Euro Swiss. I like the rally back up to 103. It's just a technical trade. Euro Swiss. If you're in my trading room, Juwan, we have literally talked about the Euro Swiss for a year, and I've been in the trade in and out for a year. We've had some non-FIFO trades. We've had some position trades. I'm holding a lot of positions on the Euro Swiss, and I'm holding small positions long. Um, I'm looking at the bigger picture on the technical front from the entire Swiss basket. So I am looking for an opportunity to buy the Swiss low, as in Euro Swiss low. So I know the Swiss is strong right now. It's continuing to get stronger because it surprised the market with a rate reduction. Negative, 0.75 to negative 0.25 is actually an increase. Okay, it's an increase in their interest rate, so it's less negative. And the Swiss is very strong because of that. But if you look at the Swiss across the board, we're at literally historical highs on the Swiss yen, which may not mean a lot in the scope of the technicals there because it's broken those highs before or the lows. And then the Euro Swiss is coming back down into intervention-like levels from 2011, 2015, and right now at 1.00, getting to possibly be retested. So what was I going to type in? Does anybody know what I was talking about? Let's see here. We're looking at Euro Swiss. Oh, the sector spider. That's what it was. Sector spider. I want to see the weekly performance. We're going to see probably every sector in red this week. So the last 5-day performance, I don't think anything survived this week in sectors. So 5-day performance, everything was down. And what's interesting is year to date, energy's been the best performing sector, and this week it was hit the hardest. So this is what the Fed wants. This is what's going to help tame and cool inflation. 13.85% to the downside in energy, 10.92% in materials. These have been the easiest and most profitable plays this year with the kind of inflation-friendly, asset-friendly, commodity-friendly type sectors. So I did see oil had some rallies late in the day yesterday. Oil's back to 115. We had some levels down to like 112, I believe. So we're going to really see if oil, this is a big one. If inflation data is going to suggest a decline, which the whole world wants to see that, I really think that we're going to have to see oil respond to this downside. I think oil is going to have to come back down to test $100 or test $95, and this can kind of, rebalance the markets because right now inflation's been running hot because oil stays elevated. So if oil can actually correct, we'll find out. I think that might start showing that inflation data is suggesting at least a peak, and that's what we've been looking at. We've been talking about transitory inflation, then peak inflation. None of those are a fact now. Transitory inflation was definitely not a thing. peak inflation we thought was real back in March, not a thing. Inflation continues to trickle higher. So anyway, makes sense. Juan, you good on that for the Swiss? Euro Swiss is just, it's a trade, man. I'm in Euro Swiss long, and I'm looking at this area to buy lower on 1.00. And my plan is this. As this is falling, I have some trades in. Traders know this in the flex room. 102, 101, 1.00 small trades, and I'm looking to take this right back up to this pocket. I'm going to trade it back to this pocket. That's target 1. I'll trade it back up to these highs at 105. That's target 2. If we do have a double bottom, which I really hope that we do, if this is a low and this is a low, I would love to see this price go back to 105 and then double, because that would be the true sign of that double bottom, which gets us back to this high around 109.50. So again, if this level can hold, then I'm looking at planning out that pattern, projecting that pattern. Target 1 would be 105, target 2 would be up here at 109, 109.50, and that would be some big profit potential on Euro Swiss, right? But it will continue to be a saga, an ongoing saga for the Euro Swiss, and it will be kind of the swan song for some profits, but we need to see that level hold at 1.00. All right. Any other currencies you'd like me to talk about today? Any other stocks? I do want to just quickly run through some shares, if you wouldn't mind. I'm just going to take a quick glance before Wall Street opens. Robinhood pre-market is 686, so we're down right there. Uber pre-market is up about 30 cents. Okay. Alibaba pre-market up to 112. Yes, please. I do have some long calls on Alibaba, and I have a covered call next week at 106. So guess what? We might be looking to lose Alibaba for some shares next week, which will be a nice little $8 to $9 share move. We might actually consider rolling it, maybe keep the 106 strike, but lower our cost by another week or so. I'm going to take a look at that in a few when Wall Street opens. So Alibaba at 112 is good. That's an $11 gap to the upside. Me likey. Baidu. Also a $5 to $6 gap to the upside. KWeb. No whammies. KWeb's up about $1.70. So this is good. China Tech. I've been long China Tech. We started getting into this week and last week in Equities on Demand. This is where I'm looking for some short-term opportunities. I think China Tech this summer, China Tech this fall. The Shenzhen Composite, I think, is Shenzhen right here. Yep. Up 12,331, pushing higher. This is good. Again, I don't love tons of exposure on China stocks right now, but tech is doing really, really well. Those are the stocks I'm in. KWeb, Alibaba. We did some long calls. We did some credit spreads. We own some shares, and that should be a nice little chunk of profit here, hopefully in the next week or two. Let's see, Pfizer. Denise, yeah, let me take a look at that one. Pfizer pre-market 47.55. All right, and I have some additional credit spreads there. Alcoa, we're going to open here 49.21 and see if I can get filled at 10.80. I mean, in a way, it's like, could this? I don't want to. Let's see. Pre-market is down. Let me see if I'm gonna try to up this a little bit. So I did 10.80. I'm gonna try to get like, what would this be down here? If we're at 60, 46, I'm gonna try to get like. I hate like trying to over finesse my my long put trades, but I do think Alcoa is volatile enough and vulnerable enough that maybe I can get. I'm gonna overshoot this and then adjust this later. I'm gonna try to get like $15. No, just take it. It's a sign. Just take it. 1080 will open up. So what I was going to do is try to increase my long put to lower my cost in case Alcoa drops a little bit more. I think that Alcoa could drop towards like $45. So I'll quickly go to Alcoa here. So there's a yearly pivot around 46.52. So that's another $3 lower. Could I increase my long put by another $3 and hit that pivot? Yes, so that'd be 46.50. That'd be 13.50 on the long put. Maybe I could do 13.25. I'll compromise there. I'll do 13.25. But I will have to make a decision on this. If I'm not getting filled and Alcoa is going up for the day, then I'm going to have to decrease my put potential. So I'll do 13.45. See if that'll fill this morning. All right. So that can pend at 13.45 and see if that change. That'll adjust my break even as well. If I have, and I'll go to Swiss yen here in a second, Denise. So 65 assignment minus 265. If I get 13.45, I would own the shares at 48.90. And again, try to cover it. I could cover it with a $49 call, $50 call, and try to repair the stock for a small win. But it's also the type of stock where if it does rebound, this stock tends to jump hard to the upside. So if I can get, a little bit of yearly pivot, a little bit of bounce off these EMAs, I think we could jump back up here. Maybe we can flip it for $3 to $5 a share. This one, I think it's down over 40% right now. So from high to low, we are down 50% in Alcoa. So I would like to see a little love on this weekly EMA and even on the daily. Daily structure, outer trend line here in the low 40s. So anyway, I'll adjust this one and watch it for the morning. And then Swiss yen, any idea? That's the hard part. And Denise, I would say this on the Swiss yen. If I go to the daily chart, take a look at our technicals as far as the relative strength and momentum. This is one thing I'm kind of watching. I know that this is never a guarantee, but having this high in price, with some divergence, having those two highs with some hidden bearish divergence from this level, this would be a weekly connection. If you connect the highs and highs on the weekly time frame, you're going to see one of my favorite indicators pop up right there, right? Overbought conditions, okay, with some divergence. So again, we've had to do this several times, but that divergence with this higher high in price, I'm not saying this has to be the top, but we've never really been higher than the Swiss yen where it is now. And again, that doesn't mean anything. That's the scary part about this currency is it doesn't mean anything. But I'm not joking when I say, look, it's the month of June right now, okay? The middle of June could look like it is right now, and this month is not done yet. So what's going to be interesting is, the weekly candles clearly, unless we have just a massive reversal today on the Swiss franc, the weekly candle is going to remain very bullish. So here's my weekly time frame, okay? But look at what happened the last time we had this this again was 2015 flash crash, but we had this massive candle and then red candle that followed and rebalanced. If we have we're now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles in a row to the upside after another series of 8 or 9 candles in a row here. If I see that divergence, two things. One, how does this week finish? It's going to finish bullish. How does next week finish? Let's see if there's an indecision candle or a bearish candle. How does the month finish? Because when you look at this chart on the monthly time frame, when we get to the end of June, is this candle still bullish with the body? Or is this candle a long indecision candle? Is this candle a long wick to the north like it is back here or here with those rejections? That's what we're going to, and again, from the timestamp, we'll have to wait a couple weeks. Next week's expirations, the 24th, and we go into July. There's going to be some holiday trading. I'm obviously a little bit concerned that we're going to see some potential flash crash moves on yen crosses, maybe the Swiss franc. Forex is definitely swinging with higher volatility right now. But the weekly and the monthly, they don't normally do this. And I would say that the monthly chart, okay, so GGB closed at 125. I'll make that adjustment in my spreadsheet. The monthly time frame on Swiss yen, we have never been higher than right here. Okay, so we could go the entire month of June and stay bullish, or we could have the entire month go and it looks like it's bullish now and then finish with indecision. Okay, again, if this is your big rally to the upside, even if we just pull back, a little bit, even if we have a high, low, lower, high, lower, low, we could be looking for that over the next 6 months. It's going to take time, but that's the stuff I'm looking at. So from the technical side, that's what I looked at this morning. The daily, the weekly, looking at my technicals, overbought conditions with divergence. I have to, again, trust that I've seen these play out, and it can be a little threatening, a little uncomfortable, but I have to think that the technicals will ultimately rebalance. And also with this on the lower time frame, we still have some really nice pivot clusters that I'm trying to trade back to. So how could we trade this? If we see this pivot cluster here at 132, I'm looking for whenever this is done, which I'm not calling the top on this right now, but whenever this is done, if we start fading back down to this level and we crown, I'm looking for that move back down into 128. Okay, so it could start with looking for a formation up here to take us down to this level, and this could be kind of a pattern within a pattern. We've seen price do that before, where if this forms a crown up here, okay, and then forms a crown down here, we end up just having a large reversal pattern on the Swiss yen, which could be a massive move all the way back down towards yearly pivots that have been missed and all this other stuff. But right now, it's going to have to cooperate. What could be the alignment? I honestly, I mean, Swiss yen kind of has its own rhythm and cadence, but I'm still watching the Euro Swiss to see if that influences where the Swiss goes in general. The CAD Swiss has dropped a lot. I did get filled at this low, by the way. I'm long at like 74.75 on CAD Swiss. We have a fantastic pocket all the way back up here at 76. Tarek is one of our notorious harmonic traders in the flex room. I know there's a harmonic pattern in fulfillment around 73.20. So we could fill that level, but I'm actually scaling into CAD Swiss and buying to take it back up towards 76 and change. Euro Swiss, my plan is I'll buy it at the lows at 1.01. I'll buy it at the lows at 1.00. I do have a couple pending orders through the zeros as well. Let me see if I have that on my charts right now. I think it did 99 and 98, unless that was on the dollar. Let me see here. Yep. So I have a 9900 trade on the Euro Swiss and a 90. I think it's 9750. Yep. So 9900, 9750 if needed on the Euro Swiss. Hopefully not needed. Okay. All right. That is that. Gail, Craig's asking for pound Canadian. All right. Sure. Take a look at that. Pound Canadian 59.54. I'm long pound Canadian. I'm actually using this area. If there's any pullbacks, Craig, I'm looking to buy some pullbacks right in here. Let me use a straight line. So I'm looking for pullback to this area, pullback to this area to offer up a little bit of a bull flag or retracement, and see if the pound Canadian will continue to, correct back towards 61 to 6,200. So my plan on the pound CAD, I didn't take profit yesterday, although this is a nice, profitable move. I'm still holding trades and I'm still looking to add to it. So if we pull back to this level here, which is around 58.50, if we pull back to 57.50, I'm looking for a bounce and a continuation to the upside to try to get back towards 61 to 61.50. That would be my profit potential right there and profit target. Honestly, I'm trying to get back to 6,200, but I'm not going to be greedy. I've got enough positions in, enough profit that once I get to like 61, 61.50, I'll probably take some profit on that one. I did take some profit on EuroCAD yesterday. EuroCAD, I thought this was close enough. Plus, we built this trade up low. We were in at 34.40 and 3400. So I did close up the EuroCAD for a nice chunk of profit. That was closed up around 36.50 yesterday. So that should have been, let's see, 200 and 250 pips. So 450 pips on EuroCAD, which is nice. I need to change my GGB really quickly to $1.25 long put. 617. That was 100 shares. $1.25 was taken and closed. So that will lower my cost. That credit spread. Okay, so that's closed. 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 That brings my break even down to $4.26 on GGB, and the stock price is trading right around it. So GGB is trading at 469. If I own the shares, I've taken the long put. I can go ahead and cover that right now. Alcoa has not been filled at 1345. Let's check the stock price really quickly. Alcoa is trading at 48.79. Chart alarms are set to the downside, so I'm going to monitor this. If I can get better than, I think I initially put that limit order at like 10.80. If I could get $11 or $12 today, I might end up doing that. And if I can do it this morning, that'd be even better. Okay. Yeah, Kevin, I'll take a look at pound dollar. You good with that, Craig, on pound CAD? You good on that one for just, I'm looking for more upside. I'm still holding my pound CAD long. EuroCAD, I wanted to update. So new flex, we took some profit on that one. EuroCAD is closed. Trade log, it was 450 pips on 2 entries. EuroCAD 46 should be down here towards the lows. There it is. So 34.45, 30.15, 25.15. We got filled. These are closed, closed and protected, and that was 450 pips. I'm still going to keep the 1.3015, 25.50, and I'm going to add those back in for a new buy trade. So these can be closed up. I'll add a new line for EuroCAD. Buy trade, today's the 17th, 1.3015, 1.27, what was that trade? Maybe it was 2,500. I think I spaced it out. 25.15. All right, so way down there. And looking at that to get back to 140. So 2 small pending orders. Pending, small, 1.3 thousand round number, buy. And pending, near historical lows. Okay, so that's a small one there. All right, good stuff. Oil dropping, says Craig. Okay, fine. Alcoa is 49.01. I'm going to set a couple of chart alarms here for today to figure out whether I'm getting more value for the long put or less. And let's go to like 52.50. Now, I would like to close up the long put prior to close today because, well, I mean, the broker should provide any value, but I want to know exactly what I get for it versus like closing at market, and sometimes you get filled like the ask price, even though you should be looking for the intrinsic value. So I will manage Alcoa today. I'm hoping there's no other assignments I have to deal with. We made the decision this week in Equities on Demand. We're going to take some losses on credit spreads, but get back in and try to repair those over the next month or so. Over this time from now until July, if things aren't looking good for those credit spreads, we will probably roll some of those credit spreads. And give us a couple of months, we'll probably make up for all those credits that we're losing this week, which is not a big deal. Also, if we get stocks called away, next week is a good example. Alibaba, I'm looking to make close to $9 a share. Literally this week in my credit spreads, I was down $9 a credit. So if I lose $9 this week, I have one stock that can make $9 worth of profit per share. So right there is enough. Right there is enough to make up everything I lost for this week. So that's a good thing. And there's also, I mean, if we see some movements like Coinbase, for example, is trading at $50, I know that I can get full profit on my covered call, go back in next week, lower my cost by another $1.50. I'll keep drilling my cost down and try to lose it. That'll be another one for hopefully $8, $9, $10 a share. So, recovering is not a big deal. What I'm trying not to do is give away all my margin and capital. Pound dollar, and then we'll start wrapping stuff up. Pound dollar trading at 22.33. I am looking for the pound dollar to try 1, 2, 3 to head back up into these highs. 2,600. There's a pivot right up here at 2,700. Pockets as well. So who was asking for that? Pound dollar for Kevin. Yeah. So I'm looking for a little cooperation here. 1.20 is holding pretty nicely. Nice kind of support psychological level. If we pull back towards this area, looking for a pullback, looking for a push, come back into this support level around 2,500. Let's try to find this level at 26. If we can hold on to it to that pivot at 27, I'd be pretty happy there. I did take some profit on pound US dollar, but I'm getting right back in. So I'll show you my chart here. Here's pound US dollar. So I took profit on pound US dollar, and I put in some pending orders to get filled on pullbacks. So I'm in small. I have another pending order here at 2150, and I have other orders filling again around the 2000 handle. So I'm looking for that, push up, little pullback, little push up, try to fill this pocket entirely, try to fill this high, find that pivot around 27. So I'm still looking for some dollar weakness to prevail. Good. Crypto, yep. What about it? Wait for a trendline break. Looking at Bitcoin, the bottom is not in, the bottom is not safe. I know there's tons of diversions. I like the technicals, but I'm telling you, all I'm doing on Bitcoin right now is dollar cost averaging on the big $5,000 increments. $20,000 has not been hit yet. We're $800 off it. I'm going to throw in a few more dollars right there. I'm also going to wait and see if we hit 15,000. So on the left-hand side of the trend line, I am dollar cost averaging with 100% risk capital. Okay. On the right side of the trend line, I'm more confident that we can start to see that a bottom is in, the bulls can confirm, and we can see some risk on flows coming. I mean, you cannot have Bitcoin recover right now without seeing the stock market probably point bullish. I just don't see it happening. We've had too much risk off trading in stocks, therefore too much risk off trading in crypto. They are completely correlated in that sense right now. And I just don't feel comfortable that if I don't know where the bottom is in stocks, why would I know where the bottom is in crypto? So this is, I think this is a necessary cleansing that gets out, all the funny money from yield farming and NFTs and all the nonsense that's been happening the last year or two, thinking that crypto is the greatest thing ever. I mean, this is why crypto is a calculated risk. I feel bad for any trader investor that's all in on crypto because you hope that that's the right thing. But I don't know where this bottom is. Maybe it's 20,000 because technically that was a 2017 high. Technically, it makes sense, but I'm not confident in a bottom here until we're on the right-hand side of the trend line. And maybe that's this. Maybe it's here and it consolidates and then it breaks. Feels a lot better on the right-hand side of the trend line, right? Maybe it's down here. Maybe it flushes lower. Maybe we look for a falling wedge, breaks a trend line. That's all I need to see, but it's going to take some time. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yep. Andrew, you good on that? I mean, I wish I had more uplifting things to say about crypto, but I don't. I'm looking for confirmation. We don't have it. Ethereum. Do we have confirmation? No. I have divergence. We're at $1,000, but until it breaks this trend line, I'm not confident we have a low in. So right side of the trend line over here, right? Okay. All right, traders, sounds good. Hey, I'll be back on Monday next week for another poll report. Monday and Friday. Yeah, I might sprinkle in a bonus session. Depends on what the week's doing. But come back and join me. Flex traders, I'll see you next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Equities on Man students, I'll see you next week as well. No live session day at 10 o'clock. I'll post that in Telegram. I am still going to be watching things. We have our notes that are super detailed from this week and yesterday. I'm going to look to see what I can get filled on for Alcoa before the day is done. I'll review some charts. I'll be watching my P&L today. But Alcoa, so that was filled. So this was filled. And I'm going to have to cover GGB for next week, which is no problem, and then Alcoa, and we have a list of things to do next week. So not as many expirations, but more just maintenance and repairing and lowering some costs. Okay. If you do me a quick favor, hit that thumbs up button for me. That would help. Support the channel again. The YouTube algorithm loves it. And have a fantastic Friday. Have a fantastic weekend. And I don't know. Get some laughs in. Find something to be happy about. I'll see you next week. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.